Welcome to the Actually You Can podcast. I'm Miff Galloway, a performance coach passionate about supporting ambitious and high-performing women just like you who know they have untapped potential just waiting to be unleashed. If you're looking to massively up-level your performance in all areas of life, you've come to the right place. My goal on this podcast is to take you beneath the surface so you can connect with yourself on a deeper level while providing you with valuable insights and the tools necessary to navigate life's challenges and go after your goals with strength, clarity, and wisdom. If you're ready to uncover the truth which lies underneath so you can recognize your powerful feminine leadership style, pursue your goals unapologetically, and thrive in every aspect of your life, hit the follow button and get ready to explore the incredible possibilities that lie within you. Together, we'll uncover your next steps in achieving peak performance, because actually, you can. Hey there, and welcome back for today's episode of Actually You Can. For today's episode, I have the pleasure of interviewing Kevin Burk, who is an expert in the field of happiness. What I enjoyed most about this conversation is his unique approach to what it truly means to achieve happiness. And it's not what you might think. Kevin shares in a really practical way how you can build your foundation of happiness so you can cottywomple through life and start living your happily ever after. And if you have no idea what I just talked about, then you're going to want to listen in to find out more. Let's get to it. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the show. It's so wonderful to have you here today.
Hi, Miff. Thank you so much for having me.
And so we're just going to jump straight in. I love that you talk about what it means to live happily ever after. What does that mean to you?
Well, one of the things that struck me about this is that we think happily ever after is the end of the story because that's how stories generally end. They all lived happily ever after. And that's created a whole other set of Disney-related problems in our lives because we think, oh, well, I don't get to be happy until the end of my life, until the end of my... No, but that's not what happily ever after means. Happily ever after literally means your life goes on ever after, and you just don't have to worry about happiness anymore. Happiness is taken care of. So this is one of the reasons I kind of talk about building a foundation of happiness, because I mean, happiness doesn't suck, but happiness doesn't mean you feel good. Happiness just means you no longer feel bad. Happiness is this wonderful neutral place where you're free from want and you're free from need. You don't have to do anything. You have options. And by comparison to where most of us live our lives, oh my goodness, that sounds wonderful. And like I said, it doesn't suck. It's really nice to have that vacation, that breathing space, acclamation of, I don't have to do. But then you realize, okay, now what?
Yes.
What do I get to do? Because this isn't, it's happily ever after isn't a happy ending. It's a happy beginning. Let me help get you to this point so you can get on with your story and really do something amazing. But you can't do that without a foundation of happiness.
I love looking at happily ever after as a beginning rather than an ending. So you talk about building a foundation of happiness. Tell me more about that. What does that look like?
We're diving into a little bit of okay, I need to fill in a little bit of context around what the human game is to be able to answer that question. So elevator pitch. The human game is a philosophy based on the idea that the universe is made up of stories. Story is the smallest practical unit of reality. That's not my original idea. That's a line from a 1968 poem by Muriel Ruckheyer. I'm going to learn to pronounce her name at one point. She originally came up with the idea. I came across it probably in a Facebook meme and just pounced on it and said, okay, what does this mean? How do we turn this into something practical? The practical aspect of that, everything is story. Your reality, the reality that you perceive, is what I call the composite story. If you've ever worked, like an image on your monitor, on your phone, on your television, what you see there is the composite image. And that composite image is made up of three component levels, component channels. There's a red channel, a green channel, and a blue channel. If you've ever done any video editing or edited a photo in Photoshop or something, you have no control over the composite image. You don't make changes to the composite image. You're ultimately making adjustments to those component levels of the image. That's where you have creative control. That's how reality works as well. What you perceive as reality is the composite story, and you've got basically no creative control over that. But the composite story is made up of three component levels of story. There's the plot level story, which is the external sequence of events. The plot level story is what happened. And frankly, that's most of what we see, what we experience of reality, what we perceive, we're basically looking at the plot level story. That's what we think of as reality. But that's just the external, it's just what happened. Character level story is what happened to me and how do I feel about it. So that's separate from the plot level story. Character level story is that's where you have no creative control over the plot level story. I mean, very little. You didn't create the external world. Try as you might, you can't control everything. Most of the time, face it, you can't control anything. But you've got creative control over the character level story because that's how you feel. And in fact, the only thing that matters, the only thing you really know, your reality basically is divided into the perception of internal and external. And the only thing that you actually directly experience, the only thing that lives inside is this sense of me and your feelings. And literally everything else appears to exist outside of you. So all you care about is how you feel.
Yep.
And happiness is a feeling. So again, happiness doesn't exist in the outside world. You can't find it in the plot level story.
Yeah.
We engage with the outside world because we think somehow engaging with that external plot level story is going to create feelings in our internal character level story. And we care about, basically human beings are, our programming is pretty simple. We've got less code than a Roomba. It's, avoid pain, pursue pleasure. In any given moment, our only objective is feel better. Ultimately, we want to get to feeling good. But in every moment, a win in any given moment is, can I feel a little bit better in this next second than I felt? Right. And that's it. That's what drives us. That's everything. And then we have the theme level story. So plot level story is what happened. Character level story is what happened to me. How do I feel about it? Theme level story is why does it matter? What does it all mean? The theme level story is the archetypal. It is the universal. It is the spiritual. It is also totally not personal. Because it deals with humanity, not with individual humans, but it's where we find meaning and purpose. It gives a foundation and a depth to things. It's amazing. You have absolute creative control over the theme level story, and that's both the good news and the bad news. It's advanced and it's optional because it's a blank page, largely. I mean, there's astrology with the human game is brilliant because it works with the theme level story. And it means you don't have a blank page.
Yeah.
You've always got these options that you can go, oh, I'm just going to pick this. But mainly appreciating that composite reality is not what you're working with. Happiness exists in the character level story. Plot level story is the external sequence of events. And you were asking about a foundation of happiness. Okay. So while it is possible to experience moments of happiness when you get what you want, when you achieve a goal in the external world, sometimes you feel happy, but sometimes you don't. So getting what you want doesn't make you happy. Not reliably. It is not it is not a sufficient condition to create happiness. But getting what you want doesn't prevent you from being happy. Getting what you want literally has nothing to do with whether or not you are happy. Getting what you want is fun. There is a part of you that is always going to want everything you've ever wanted. And there's nothing wrong with that. But getting everything you ever wanted isn't necessarily going to make you happy. And so I've kind of created this whole thing saying, okay, look, I'm going to help you to get everything you've ever wanted and also be happy. Those are two separate things. We're going to do them together. The one is not, the happiness is the part you really care about. Getting what you want is the thing that's going to get you motivated to do this. And the two can coexist, but the one isn't a requirement for the other. So part of this process is learning first how to separate the plot level story from the character level story. And then creating this other character level story of what are the conditions that are required to actually create the feeling of happiness. And the definition of happiness that I'm in the human game experience sort of build up to this, but happiness is the feeling you experience when you are free from want and free from need. And I build out this, through looking at Maslow and a couple of other things. It's like, we've got some fundamental needs, and really there's two sets of needs that matter. When your safety needs are met and your validation needs are met, you're happy. And I present this in terms of consider these as bank accounts. You have a safety need account, you have a validation need account. When you maintain the minimum balance in these two need accounts, you're happy. And that is something you can do regardless of whether or not you are achieving your goals in the external plot level world, because nothing in the plot level world actually has anything to do with your character level story. And so part of what I help people to do through the program, through the human game experience, is learn how to manage and maintain the balance. How do you meet your safety needs? How can you acquire resources in your validation needs? Because when you're able to do that, that's how you build a foundation of happiness. None of that, nothing in the outside world is going to mess with the balance in either of those two accounts. And again, happiness is not, this is clearing the decks, giving you that foundation so you can build. And it's awesome. But it's the beginning. But it's like, you can't discover what you value.
Yeah.
You can't discover the stuff that really makes you feel good until you have this foundation of happiness, until nothing is going to send you into survival mode, until nothing is going to feel like it is a threat to your survival or your safety.
Yeah.
And so that's the first step. And we understand this, but there really hasn't been any other functional story that's like, here's how you can address all of this stuff. Because really, we have some really useful programming to survive. And one of the sort of factory installed little programs is the fight or flight response, because the primary drive of life is to survive. I mean, this is our most input, and so the fight or flight response helps us to recognize when there is an actual threat and it's a biological response. And so it sets off these alarms and it does all sorts of biological stuff. But because the only thing that we know is how we feel, you have to start recognizing it by, how do I feel? Do I feel stressed? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel tense? Oh, that means my safety alarms are going off. That means, so this is the and when the alarm goes off, you're supposed to go check for the threat and either, neutralize the threat or realize, oh, the neighbor's dog set off the alarm again. There's no threat. I can reset
Mm.
this, because keeping that alarm going is biologically incredibly expensive.
Yes.
It's not a good thing. We rarely in modern times experience genuine life threatening experiences.
Yeah.
So you would think there's not any need for that fight or flight response. But it's a really, it's like that U2 song that Apple put on iTunes that you can't get rid of. It's hard code. You
Yeah.
can't get rid of it, but we've adapted it. So in modern times, that safety alarm, that fight or flight response goes off in response to anything that is a threat to your survival. And it also goes off if anything is a threat to your happiness. There's only one alarm. And you don't know if it's being triggered because there's an actual external threat or because it's just a threat to your happiness. And you only know to look in the outside world, and a threat to your happiness doesn't exist in the outside world. And so you're never sure you could turn off that alarm because we just, well, okay, I think there's, I don't know why I'm feeling
Yeah.
stressed. So and so it's like it's like going through life with like the check engine light on. It's like, okay, well, I don't know that there's an actual threat. So I'm going to kind of ignore this
Mm.
until something really, really obvious happens to let me know what to do, because I don't know
Yeah.
how to address why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. And I don't know what this is that seems to be threatening my happiness, because I don't have a story to make sense of what might actually be going on here.
Yeah.
So that probably answered some part of a question that I know you meant to ask.
It answered so much. To be honest, as soon as you said happiness is that state of being free of want or need, that just blew my mind. I sat on that for a little bit because I've always seen it as this state of joy, like overwhelming joy, and everyone is just pursuing that. And so,
Joy,
holy
joy,
cow.
joy, joy is way beyond
Yeah.
happiness. I mean, there's in getting into the really, really, really theme level advanced stuff. I spent many years studying the work of David Hawkins on map of human consciousness.
Awesome.
And so he's calibrated these different levels of consciousness. And happiness is neutrality. Happiness calibrates at 250. Joy is 540. Big honking difference between those. And so it's just recognizing, yeah, happiness, everybody wants it. 'Cause I struggled with this for a number of years, because, in the spiritual community that I was involved with, and we're talking about the qualities of God. Everybody wants happiness, and talking about happiness, but happiness isn't a quality of joy is a quality of the divine. Happiness isn't. And I'm thinking, you're settling, so I'm struggled with that for a number of years. How do I reconcile this? Because happiness is not the prize. Happiness is not what people think that it is, but it's what everybody's looking for. And clearly we need it, but what is it? How do we solve the happiness problem? Because it's just like, I'm so over this.
Yeah.
Got better things that I want to do. Can I just, why don't we have an answer
Yeah.
to this? And, it's like, well, money can't buy happiness. Well, yeah, maybe you just don't know where to shop.
Yeah. And you hear a lot of people saying, I just want to be happy or I just want to feel free. I almost feel like both of them, they're asking sort of for the same thing. They don't want or need anything. They want to be able to do whatever it is that they want.
And here's and free again. You want to be free from the feeling of having to do things. You want to be free from the feeling that you are struggling to survive. Totally different from freedom as an actual value,
Yeah.
freedom as an actual quality of, because it's, the big core values, the really amazing feelings, they don't have objects. So freedom from something, that's the theme level core value. That's something else.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it really is. But for so many people, that's one of the things that happiness feels like. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm finally free. I'm no longer being limited. I'm no longer being confined. I'm no longer being compressed.
Yeah.
Life
Yeah.
is not, the stakes are so much lower. I can have more fun with life. Now, yeah, this is, I mean, I don't know. I've cared about finding that. I assume other people might be interested in
I hear
that, but
about it
it's,
all the time. Happiness
yeah.
and freedom. They're the two things that just always seem out of
Yeah.
reach for people. And I love that you said that that foundation of happiness is really feeling safe and validation. I think a lot of people can understand what it means to feel safe. It's, having your basic needs met, you have a roof over your head, you feel maybe psychologically safe, safe in your environment. What else is
It's
included in safety?
Well, anything you think you need to survive.
Yep.
This is Safety needs get really
Yep.
complicated because anything that you think you need to survive, anything that you think you need to be able to be happy becomes a safety need. We create an attachment to it. So meeting your being validated, feeling loved and appreciated, that can become a safety need.
Yeah. Okay.
That can be deposits in your validation need account can go directly into your safety need account because you think you can't survive without them, because anything can become a safety need.
Yeah.
And so recognizing, because we don't think in terms of safety. We don't think in terms when I work with clients and students through the human game experience is one of the things that I've learned to have to sort of explore when we're looking at, okay, look for a situation where you felt unsafe. Okay, don't think of like the time that you were in a dark
Yeah.
alley and say, no, 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 literally anytime you felt anxious, anytime you worried or feel anxious or feel stressed, that means you feel unsafe. That means you are standing in your personal panic room. You spend most of your life in your panic room. Really important to recognize when you're there that it's not a bad thing, that you're not wrong to be there. And okay, let's both upgrade the panic room so that it doesn't disrupt your life when you're there, and also learn how to get out.
Yeah.
But it's realizing that safety is not this life or death thing. It's literally anything that messes with your happiness, anything that makes you feel worried or stressed or insecure. Anything that's unfamiliar
Mhm.
is inherently unsafe because it could be a threat. We don't know. That's part of what the safety need alarms are about. It's like, we're trying to pattern match. What is this? This is that. Is this a threat? Is this not a threat? I don't know what this is. Okay, could be a threat. Turn on the alarms. Let's proceed with caution because we don't know what this is yet. And understanding that's how we operate, getting a handle, having a story to describe that and go, oh, yeah, I've gone through my whole life doing that. I just couldn't describe it in that way. And now, once you have a story to understand, then you can do something about it. Then you recognize, I know what's going on. And because I know what's going on, I know where the levers are.
Yeah.
I know what I can actually do because I know what this is.
Mm.
I've been here before. I have these tools. I know how to do X. But you can't do that until you know, oh yeah, this is that.
Yeah. 100%. And when you notice that your safety alarms are going off, to be able to recognize that as my safety alarms are going off, to your point, gives you the awareness to do something about it. And that's what I love about what you shared is a lot of people, and I can speak to myself in this too, is we don't often acknowledge that's what's happening. And so we're freaking out. We're like, oh my God, it's like, oh, I just feel a little bit unsafe at the moment. And that's okay.
Yeah. But understanding, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I feel a little bit unsafe. Okay, well, first of all, obviously, nothing's going to kill me.
Yeah.
This is not an actual crisis. In fact, so one of the big things that I talk about is the difference between an obstacle and a problem. This is really critical. An obstacle is anything that interferes with your ability to achieve a plot level goal.
Mhm.
There will always be
Yeah.
obstacles. Anything that interferes with your ability to get something you want is an obstacle. A problem is anything that interferes with your happiness.
Hmm.
An obstacle does not automatically have to be a problem. And in fact, it doesn't ever need to be a problem because the obstacle exists in the plot level and your happiness exists in the character level. And when you can separate out the fact that, okay, well, an obstacle is only a problem if not getting what you want means you're not going to be happy. But when you realize whether or not I achieve this goal is not going to affect my happiness. Now, achieving that goal may make a nice little deposit in my safety and validation need accounts,
Yeah.
but not achieving the goal is not going to cost me anything. So there's the possibility of winning, but no possibility of losing. And that takes the problem and turns it back into an obstacle. Then it's like, okay, well, this is not the source of my happiness. This isn't a big deal. This is something I get to engage with from a place of I can't lose, could win, can't lose. And then that shifts your available options.
Yes.
All of a sudden you have options because you're not risking anything. So you can find the fun. You lower the stakes, you can find the fun. So, oh, I don't need to deal with this, or I can deal with this, or I can just put up with it because this doesn't matter. Or,
What an incredible distinction.
I can have some fun with this.
Yeah.
I can have some fun with this. I don't know. Because this isn't a problem for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have some fun with it because you can always have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You can always choose to have fun.
But you have to lower the stakes.
Yeah.
Because you can only have fun if there's no risk of loss.
Yeah.
If the stakes are too high, you can't have fun. If not succeeding could make a huge withdrawal from your safety need account, you can't have fun. This is too serious to have fun.
Yeah.
So it's, the option is always there when you can manage your safety needs. When you can realize, let me lower the stakes. Let me shift my perspective on this. Let me look at this objectively. Let me realize this is just one isolated thing. This does not determine anything. If I totally blow this opportunity, it means nothing. It's not going to destroy my future. It's not going to prevent me from being happy in the future. It's going to mess with my happiness right now. Probably not even the only chance I have to achieve this particular thing. So take a breath.
Yeah.
But we need to consciously do that. And that's the missing component. That's the missing piece of the story. Oh, here's the option. Let me lower the stakes.
Yeah.
Let me just double check. Are these stakes too high? Am I dealing with a countdown clock that I'm focusing on, like the seconds ticking down because it's like, I don't know what happens when that gets down to zero, but it's not going to be good. It's never good when it hits zero. And is that really the appropriate countdown clock? Because am I focusing on the seconds and the minutes? And that's maybe appropriate if all I've got left is seconds and minutes. But if I've got days, weeks, and months, I don't need a stopwatch. I need a calendar. This doesn't have to, the urgency, because we add this sense of urgency to things consciously and unconsciously. And it's a thing. Sometimes a little drama is great, but sometimes a little drama is just exhausting.
Yes.
And not necessary. And being able to recognize, is this an actual deadline or just my own unconscious driving for this. What actually happens when that timer goes down to 0? Does it go boom or does it just go beep?
Yeah.
I mean, what's actually going on here so that I can get a handle on this and know, is this a genuine crisis or am I just making it one?
Hearing you talk to all this, something that comes to mind is, for example, if you have an important presentation to give, and I can think of examples recently where it's like most of my team actually preparing presentations for a president of the organization, and everyone's like, it's a big deal. And I can just picture someone, normally it's my husband, saying, like, it's okay, like, just have some fun, relax a little bit. I'm like, I can't relax. This is really important. What's going on in this situation?
Okay. Ooh, so much. Um, One of the things that is probably going on is a whole bunch of theme level stuff. Everything in the theme level story is symbolic. And like I said, you can ignore it most of the time, but every once in a while, it's raising the stakes.
Yeah.
See, you're not on the theme level. You're not making this presentation to your boss, to the president of the company. No, 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 no. You're making this presentation to your father. And if you get it right, then finally, finally, you are going to get all of that love that you have been looking for your entire life. Yeah, maybe this isn't that.
And
And and
validation.
and and doing that for you do that for the presentation. That's great. Next week, gonna be there again. You got to do a lot, especially when we're dealing with authority figures. We're always unconsciously dealing with our parents. But it's and and here's the thing: if you're conscious of that, if you choose to do that, you can consciously navigate through that in a way that adds a lot of meaning and you can do a lot of personal healing with it. But if it's not appropriate, you don't need to. I want to get a little button. There's the TV show from the 90s, I think, uh, called Dinosaurs. It was a live action thing. It's on Disney Plus now. Brilliantly funny. But the baby dinosaur would always go, the mama, the mama. And I want a little button because sometimes you just need that. And it's like, oh, boss, oh, the papa, the mama. And literally, that's it. It's all you need.
Yeah.
Because now you've got that little image and you've got that little story and you got that little voice, even if it's just me doing that and going, oh yeah, I'm at work. Let me just go, the mama. And then it's gone because you're clearly not working for your parents.
Yeah.
Because this clearly isn't about resolving these old childhood, but unconsciously it could be because everything relates on the theme level story. Sometimes you just need to go, this isn't that. Sometimes at work, just the mama, the pop. And you got to do that a lot. You'll hit that button a lot because unconsciously we're always doing that. But when you recognize we're always doing that, can't stop that, but I can laugh at it. I can hit the button and go, oh, yeah, this is just default. Walk in the morning, meet staff meeting. Okay, the mama, the papa. Okay, great. I'm good with the staff meeting.
Yeah.
It's going to last me for a couple of hours. I am not going to be caught up in the high stakes of this because unconsciously, and then you can observe how all of your siblings, coworkers, are also, have not resolved that.
Yeah.
And you see the family dynamic in the workplace, which is there on the theme level story. And it's very funny and it's fun to engage with, especially when you are no longer engaging with that, but you're observing that, oh, wow, other people are kind of dealing with that. That's interesting. This doesn't affect me anymore. This is cool.
I am never going to be able to see my workplace the same again. I'm going to be walking into meetings and just being like, you're presenting to your parents.
Oh, and you can see the dynamic because unconsciously, hey, what a great opportunity to resolve these theme level lies about love or power or whatever, these great big lessons, these great big things that our entire lives are about. what a great opportunity to have these theme level parallels that aren't really obvious, but it's the theme level. You got to analyze it to recognize the patterns. It's never obvious. But then when you go, well, the Lion King is actually Hamlet. It really is. I didn't know. But it's a theme level thing. And it adds to it. It's like, oh wow, yeah, I can see that. I don't have to see that. But if I want to see it, I can see it. So same thing. There's this theme level stuff always going on, but in the workplace, oh my God, so much of the high stakes is because we are unconsciously working for our parents, competing for approval with our coworkers, trying to get all of the love that we didn't have as children.
Yeah.
And none of that really was about your parents, particularly, because it's all, thematically a bigger deal of the, basic fundamental lies of love, that it's external, limited, and conditional. And so we're all playing with some aspect of that. And none of that needs to be consciously resolved in this lifetime, but every once in a while, it's kind of fun to be able to connect that theme level thing to what's going on in your life.
Yep.
It certainly gets you through the Monday morning staff meeting a little bit more. The Monday morning is not quite as big of a waste of time when you're realizing, oh, this is a deep opportunity for me to look into my own psyche and heal my own issues because I'm seeing it played out, because you can. And nobody needs to know, because it's all happening in your head. It's all your story. But I find that I'm easily amused, but I find that kind of stuff fun.
Yeah.
And there's no reason you can't do that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm offering here. It's like, let me show you how to do that.
Yeah. I'm literally just going, okay, how am I going to heal in my next staff meeting?
But here's the thing. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Your next staff meeting is not your only opportunity to do that. It is optional, but now you have the option. Now it's there. And there's no, but don't, it's so easy to take this stuff and go, oh, I've only got 2 more staff meetings this month. I need to heal all my childhood issues. But there's a part of us that does that, because there's a part of us that is still looking, we've got all of this sort of ad hoc programming that we put. Human beings have 8 lines of source code and we make the rest of it up as we go. So it's amazing in the versatility. But, like I said, we have less programming than a Roomba. So sometimes we metaphorically get stuck in the corner and need to go, pick it up and turn, no, this way.
Yeah.
So many things can get caught. So many unconscious, unresolved stories can sort of get Velcroed in, and a whole lot of the process and a whole lot of the human game coaching process really involves going, oh, this isn't that. Let's this isn't that. Separate these out. You can deal with those childhood dramas if you like, but they don't have to be dealt with in this presentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not strictly relevant right now. So let's do, this isn't that. Let's put those back up on the shelf. And now you don't have to thread that needle as well as everything else. We're lessening. We're removing things from the Venn diagram of what you have to accomplish, because you're taking out all of these unconscious things. Oh, I also have to get mommy and daddy's approval as a result of this.
100%.
No, you really don't. Okay, well, now that presentation just needs to be good enough.
Yeah.
That's a lot easier.
And I know we talked about happiness being free from wants and needs, and then you also speak about how you support people to actually get what it is that they want. I feel like a lot of people go, oh, I just want to feel free, or I just want to be happy, but they actually just don't know what they want when they get there. They'll be like, oh, all of a sudden I have the time, I don't know how to spend it, or all of a sudden I have the happiness. If I could do anything, what is it that I would do? So how do you support people to get clear on that? Is it using astrology or other modalities as well?
There's astrology can be used for that. Astrology gives you some really so the human game is the philosophy. The human game experience is an astrology-based reality role-playing game that can give you creative control over the story of your life. So this is the actual program where you can actually engage in this and do this. And unlike Dungeons and Dragons, where you're rolling for character attributes, first of all, the character you're playing is the person pictured on your driver's license. So you are your character.
Ugh.
And your attributes are contained in your birth chart. So the birth chart is this multi-dimensional map of everything, and it's theme level, and you don't have to understand the whole map. You don't need to understand it. You're not a London cab driver. You don't have to understand the whole city of London. You just need to know how to get from where you are, to the chemist. That's it. It's want to go to the mall? Great. That's another thing. Just give me turn by turn directions for this one thing. I will figure out how other things connect as needed, but I don't need to study the whole map. So to build the foundation of happiness, we build a story of what I call the happiness GPS. And so you're using elements from your moon to help you to meet your safety needs. Tells you how the strategy you take to approach safety and the language you speak for safety and where you can actually find it. And then the same thing for validation. Once you build that foundation of happiness and you're going, what next? Then the next navigation tool is the value compass. The value compass is how you start to discover what you really care about.
Yeah.
Because we need external plot level goals. The plot level goal is the destination, but it's not the point. It just lets you align, it puts you on a train ride to get there. And really the whole point is this is one heck of a train because there's so many amenities. Let's just enjoy the train because there's so much we can do there because the destination really doesn't matter because it's not an external thing. And there's nothing wrong with getting what you want. Getting what you want is fun. Getting what you want gives you something to do because you need to be dealing with the external world because we're here, but realizing that's not the requirement. No reason you can't, and I'm going to help you to do it, but you get what you want more effectively by actually aligning with these theme level values, the things you really care about, and then learning how to connect those and discover where those are. I came across, again, Facebook memes, so we love them. A few months ago, came across this word that utterly changed my life. And the word is cottywomple. Coddywomple. And cottywomple means to travel purposefully towards an as yet unknown destination. And that it's like, yeah, there we go. Because I have never really cared about external goals. I'm really good at them. In my distant youth, spent time promoting motivational speakers and sales trainers. I know all about the rah goal setting stuff. And I could just never find anything that I cared about enough to do all of the things I needed to do. And so I'm living my life going, well, I'm not doing that. And you can't comfortably live your life defining it in terms of something it's not. And I didn't have a word to describe what it is. And it's like, oh no, I'm cottywompling. I have meaning. I am meaningfully moving to, I don't know what the destination is, but I have meaning and purpose. And I don't need entirely this external goal. And that has been such a revelation. It's like, yeah, I share that word with people and I see the light go on. It's like, oh my God, that's what I've been doing my whole life. I feel so much better. Because we only have this one story that you are either motivated to pursue goals or not. There's no purpose. It's like, well, okay, that's a strategy, but that doesn't, what does it mean that that's not what I'm doing? Nothing wrong with it, but I'm doing something else and I can't define what it is except in terms of saying it's not this. And that doesn't, you know, ultimately you need to be able to say what it is, not just what it's not. And cottywomp. So I talk about cottywompling with the value compass because like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't, I don't know what my destination is. I kind of know where I think I'm going,
Yep.
but I'm following with such purpose.
Mm.
I have such meaning and such intention. And I don't know necessarily where I'm going, but my goodness, this theme level depth of it, it matters.
Yeah.
There's this, it just, this the support of it. My life has purpose
Yeah.
and it's not about the external stuff. And I still care about getting things that I want, but ultimately what I really care about, I mean, what you really want is to have your needs met. What you really want is to feel good because that's literally all we really care about. And how do I get there? Because I'm living in this composite story that has this external reality. And there's lots of fun things that I can do. And I need something to fill up my time. But those are not specifically going to make me happy, but any one of them could
Yeah.
if I'm doing it because that's a way that I can focus and connect with something that really matters.
Yeah.
But one of the big, well, it's a big problem. It's not an obstacle. It's a problem is that we think we should already have the answer. We think I should know what I'm supposed to do with my life. And
Yes. 100%.
every part of that is a lie. Of your story may be about discovering that. That may not be that may be a destination. That may not be the point of it,
Mhm.
but being able to move towards it, being able to know that whatever you're doing, I don't know what it is. I can't necessarily name it, but I know there's meaning.
Mm.
I'm going to cottywomple. I don't need the answer, but I can trust these tools. I understand that really it's just my story. That's the only thing that, it's a good story and there's no, there's no, I can't lose.
Mm.
You know, I'm not doing anything wrong. I've never done anything as wrong as one of the big things I do is take wrong out of the picture. It's a moral judgment. You have never been personally wrong about anything. It's not possible. Wrong is not the same thing as incorrect.
Mm.
Wrong is literally, it is a moral judgment. It is a theme level thing. You are not wrong, so you do not need to feel guilty. And that lowers your guilt tax
Yeah.
bracket, and that's pretty miraculous right there. When that little software upgrade installs, boy, does that make a
Yeah.
difference. Um, so yeah, it's just we still because for many people, and this is a very particular. This is one of three strategies. Um, but it's a cardinal strategy. But I think there's for me there's an element of I'm so far behind that I need the answer right now because I haven't had it this far. And so I need to know the answer to them, and that's not true. Um, I think that particular flavor is present for maybe a third of the population. Is one of three strategies. I don't, and and most people have some element of cardinal in their chart. So most people have that strategy for some things. So it may be a very common approach to I should know what I'm doing with my life, but it plugs into different things
Mm.
um, for them. But you why should you
Yes.
know that? Do you really? First of all, do you really know anybody that has the answer to that? And very few people really seem to have the answer to that in their lives. So if you look around yourself, are you really that far behind?
Yeah.
It's like I've been sold this bill of goods that I'm supposed to be doing this thing, and clearly nobody else is actually doing this thing. So there's something, maybe there is something inconsistent about this, about this story that I'm telling myself. Maybe there's a little loop, maybe there's a plot hole there that I can look at, because this doesn't really seem to try.
Some people are just really good at pretending they've got it all figured out or having confidence that they do have it all figured out.
Because we need to believe.
Yeah.
Because there's this fear, if I don't convince myself that I've got it all figured out, then I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And if you're wrong, well, you're never going to be happy, because you've got to pay all that guilt, resolve all of that suffering from being
Yeah.
wrong with the punishment for that. And so we all do the best we can possibly do. And we are all working within these stories that we have cobbled together, and we're not necessarily fully conscious that they're stories, because everything is story. And when you understand how stories work, then you can actually go in and make adjustments to the stories that you currently have going. And there are tips and tricks and tools to, isolate chunks of unfortunate code that no longer needs to be running, that no longer needs to be influencing anything going on in your life right now. There's so much that can be done with this, and I'm just, you can have what I'm having.
And you've offered such great insights. I've got my page of notes and I'm just mind boggled. I have never heard of happiness being spoken about in this way. So I'm going to go away and have a big think, not too hard. I don't want to create a story too big a story out of this, but I would love to hear, what is a really actionable step someone can do in the next 24 to 48 hours to start their journey towards finding happiness?
Well, the most actionable step is to go to playthehumangame.com. I have basically everything you could possibly want there. There's an introductory video that explores the happiness problem. You have the opportunity to enroll in the Human Game experience and actually jump into this program yourself, depending on when this is available. Starting early in May of 2024, it will be available as its own self-guided game. Until the end of April, there's a different version of it that's got a community coaching element to it, but this is the last time that's being offered. But I'm really making this available as a totally self-guided program. It's got the player's handbook. It's got 8 weeks of video tutorials and the gameplay objectives and a way to track how you're leveling up your character, and an interactive worksheet where you just look up your birth data and match some symbols, and boom, you've got all of your happiness GPS information already there, printed out for you when you need it. And if you're not ready to dive into that, you can also sign up for the free Human Game Introduction class. It's a series of little video sketches as of me exploring different aspects of these ideas. So there's things you can learn from that. Just being made aware of what can be done with story can help. And then, obviously, when you're ready, playing this game is going to give you the tools. I mean, by the end of week 2, you are going to be able to lower the stakes on anything. You're going to be able to spot. I mean, week 1, you learn how to spot the plot. You learn basics of story, and you know how to spot the plot. To be able to take a story from your own life and you separate out just the plot level, because nothing interesting happens in everything you discover. Everything you care about is not in the plot level story, which is good because you've got no creative control over the plot level story. But learning how to just, here's how I can take this big thing in my life and reduce it to like 7 sentences in a 3-act structure. And that's just the plot level. And it is absolutely accurate and totally unsatisfying. I mean, the plot of The Lord of the Rings is a bunch of friends go on a road trip to dispose of a piece of unwanted jewelry. That's the plot. That is absolutely, that is what happened.
Yeah.
Totally unsatisfying. Not remotely what you care about. But that's what happened. So being able to apply that in your own life is just, again, I'm easily amused, but I find it incredibly fun.
Yeah.
And I've set this up in a way that it's just like, no matter how little time or energy you're able to invest in it, even if all you do is just watch the tutorial videos, you don't do any of the actual gameplay objectives, you are still going to come out of this program measurably, maybe a little bit, but measurably happier
Yes.
than you were when you started, because you're going to be improving your stories. There's some software patches that are going to get installed. And then obviously the more you play, when you actually do the gameplay objectives, when you do the worksheets and the experiences where you are connecting these things to your stories, you're developing these skills. So as you're leveling up your character, you're actually acquiring real world skills, because this is a reality role playing. The more you play, the more you will actually be able to do things with this.
Yeah.
At the moment, there's a very small sample of players, but nobody thus far that has started to play the human game has yet stopped.
Yeah.
Because I've been playing it for 3 years. I've been playing it since 2021. I've never had more fun in my life. It's just, and it's finally ready. It's finally in a form that is accessible, and this is, you don't have to complete it. It's not like you complete the whole thing and then miraculously you get, you get, as you go through it, you are accruing benefits as you go through it. You don't have to complete it. You don't have to achieve any particular, I'm gamifying it to motivate.
Yeah.
I'm gamifying it to go, ooh, I want to get to player level 3. Great. Well, I because I want people motivated to do it, but also it's a game. There's no count. 8 weeks is the shortest amount of time possible to achieve player level 8H. It is not the deadline. You have as much time as you like. You don't ever need to get there, because you will find, this is about giving you some tools to be able to find the fun in your life, to be able to do whatever works for you and see these little improvements. And then you want to do more at some point. Great. There's more to do. There's way more I'm building out with this, but let's start with your happily ever after.
I love that so much. And I have stalked your website, and the free resources you have on there are already incredible. So I love that as an action step, and I'll be sure to put all the resources in the show notes. But thank you so much, Kevin, for jumping on today and sharing such a unique approach to personal development and happiness. I'm so excited and feel very privileged to be able to share this approach with my community. So thank you again so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope this was helpful. If you thought of someone while listening to this podcast, I would be so grateful if you could share this episode with them. While you're doing that, please also take a moment to leave a review on the podcast if you haven't yet already. It takes less than a minute, and it means so much to me and helps this podcast to reach more people just like you. Thank you so much for that, and I'll see you in the next episode. In the meantime, go out and achieve every dream you have, because actually, you can.